Okay, great leaders, great achievers are rarely realistic by other people's standards. Great leaders, great people are rarely realistic by other people's standards. Somehow, these successful people, often considered strange, pick their way through life, ignoring or not hearing negative expectations and emotions. No is not a word that lives in my vocabulary. No simply means not yet. Reject, rejection. Just in case you guys are wondering where this stuff comes from, there it is. Consequently, they accomplish one great thing after another, never having heard what cannot be done. God may, wait. That is precisely why one should never tell a young person that something cannot be done. Can you imagine? You're thinking too big. That's a little bit unrealistic. You probably should aim for something a little bit more realistic. I mean, we hear these kind of things all the time, and people think they're doing us a favor when they say things like that. Read The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson and focus on your dream champions and ignore the dream bullies. And by the way, dream bullies are not bullies because they're trying to be mean. Some of the time, they actually think they're doing you a favor. That is precisely why one should never tell a young person that something cannot be done. God may have been waiting centuries for someone ignorant enough of the impossible to do that very thing. You know, in The Traveler's Gift, Andy Andrews shares a story in The Seventh Decision, which is, I will persist without exception. He shares a story about a warehouse that is in heaven. And you guys have heard me talk about this before. So if you're new to the call, I'm going to do my best to not give it away because it's actually the best part of the book. It's the real draw dropper. And in this warehouse, everything that never was, bless you, everything that never was existed. In other words, a cure for cancer. A machine that has the ability to somehow cure blindness, paralysis. There's formulas for and blueprints for inventions that don't exist because the person who was going to invent it gave up right before they did. And in this warehouse, everything that never was existed. And fear of faith is the difference between bringing something into reality, a life that you desire to live into reality, or ending up in a life of mediocrity. Fear of faith. On page 154, Andy goes on to say, so what is the difference in people? When faced with struggles, do we face struggles? Just type yes into the chat if you face struggles. If you don't, I want to know who you are, right? Because I'll give you a few of mine. When faced with struggles, why is it that one person quits and another keeps going? Good question. When faced with struggles, why is it that one person looks for a shortcut or detour, greener pastures, an easier way, and another person stays on that path on a journey with a destination that is assured? And I see it happen every day, and absolutely breaks my heart. Reason can only be stretched so far, but faith has no limits. Reason can only be stretched so far, but faith has no limits. Does faith guide your everyday actions and emotions, or does fear guide what you do? One or the other drives us and both emotions are an expectation for an event that hasn't come to pass. Both faith and fear are an expectation for an event that hasn't come to pass, or a belief in something that can't be seen or touched. To have faith is to believe in the hopeful potential of what one has not seen. And the reward of faith is to have the potential manifest. The emotional energy of faith is uplifting. Fear, in contrast, is also to believe in the dark potential of what one has not seen, and the only reward of fear is more fear. The emotional energy of fear is life-draining. The emotional energy of fear, hi Wendy, is life-draining. Fear, emotional energy of faith is uplifting. The emotional energy of fear is life-draining. The emotional energy of faith is uplifting. Are you focused on fear or are you focused on faith? Check your emotions. That'll give you the answer to the question. If you're not sure what you're focused on, stop, slow down, and ask, how do I feel? If you're feeling anxious, you're focused on fear. If you feel hopeful, excited about another day to achieve your goals, you're focused on faith. Pay attention to your emotions. Fear, in contrast, is also to believe in the dark potential of what one has not seen. And the only reward of fear is more fear. The emotional energy of fear is life-draining. Fear can be used as a catalyst for action, or by default, it imprisons a person to a life of mediocrity. Boy, write that down. Yeah, I know. Write it down, write it down, write it down. That's my life. It imprisons a person to a life of mediocrity. A man of faith reaps perpetual reward, and a man of fear lives on the edge of insanity. Fear is a vapor, it's a myth. And if you think that fear is some kind of warning from above to keep you out of trouble, you can forget about that. You know, the word faith is mentioned more than 365 times, at least once for every day of the year. The word faith is mentioned more than 365 times in the Bible, and nowhere does God tell you to be afraid, to live in fear. Bottom of the page. Oh, but this is really good. The word worry is actually derived from an Anglo-Saxon term meaning to strangle or to choke off. Are you worried? If you are, fear is controlling your emotions. Worry is to strangle or to choke off. Ignore fear, cast it out of your life. There is no reward for fear. I will persist without exception. I am a person of great faith. I possess the greatest power ever bestowed upon mankind, the power of choice. Today, I choose to persist without exception. No longer will I live in a dimension of distraction, my focus blown hither and yon like a leaf on a blustery day. I know the outcome I desire. I hold fast to my dreams. I stay the course. I do not quit. I will persist without exception. I continue despite exhaustion. How many ways does a real estate agent quit? Write that down and then answer that question. This is for you, not for me, but I'd love to hear your conversation on this. How many ways does a real estate agent quit? How many ways are you quitting? Give me a couple of examples of quitting as a real estate agent.
19 conversations.
There it is. There's one. Thank you, Jonathan. 19 conversations. I settled for 19 because it's close enough when I could have made one more call, could have knocked on one more door. All you could do is all you could do. And at the end of the day, all you could do is enough. When you do, all you could do. Want me to say that again? All you could do is all you could do. And at the end of the day, all you could do is enough. When you do, all you could do. So the question I would ask myself at the end of the day is, have I done all I can do? Or is there a little bit of gas left in the tank? Now, if I settle for less than all I can do, that's quitting.
John,
Give me another example of quitting. I can give you some.
good morning,
Yeah.
John.
Michael, you're next. Diane first, and then Michael Topo. Yes.
Judge away the lead because of the price of their property.
There you go. Judge away the opportunity because the seller is unrealistic. I changed what you said, but is that okay?
It's okay because it's the same ballpark.
Yeah, okay. Judge away the opportunity because the price is too high. Judge away the opportunity because the seller doesn't seem motivated. Judge away the opportunity because the seller says they have a real estate agent. I can keep going. That's quitting. Topo.
Can you share my favorite Tom Hopkins quote that you and I talk about?
Yeah. So we are not judged by the number of times we fail, but by the number of times we succeed. And the number of times we succeed is in direct proportion to the number of times we can fail and keep trying. We are not judged by the number of times we fail, but by the number of times we succeed. And the number of times we succeed is in direct proportion to the number of times we can fail and keep trying. Think about it for a moment. You've had a record-setting year, and you're on stage at family reunion. Gary Keller is interviewing you. And he's interviewing you about the massively successful year you just had in real estate. And he says, Michael, holy cow, you closed 300 units. You had $50 million in production. Your gross income was $1.5 million. At no point does he say, you know, you kind of suck because you only scheduled an appointment with 2% of the people that you spoke to. I mean, you failed 98% of the time, you loser. I am not judged by the number of times I fail, but by the number of times I succeed. And the number of times I succeed is in direct proportion to the number of times I can fail and keep trying. A National League baseball player who bats 300 lifetime is in the Hall of Fame. You go to the Hall of Fame and there they are. They're bronze bust, a description of what they did, their statistics, and nowhere are you going to read this guy failed 7 out of 10 times. Nowhere. Nowhere. Babe Ruth hit 714 home runs. Now I know that. By the way, Hank Aaron hit 744, right? And I know that number, right? And that's the number we talk about. Nobody talks about the fact that Babe Ruth struck out over 1,400 times. He hit 714 home runs. Now, as a real estate agent, when I am going through E to P, I hit that ceiling and I hit that ceiling. and then I break through. This is exhausting. When we're hitting the ceiling, it's exhausting. It leads to resignation. It leads to looking for greener pastures. And one of the ways, and I'm just going to be direct and honest, I might regret this. One of the ways we quit as real estate agents is I can't break through the ceiling in order to build a massively successful real estate business, in order to live the life that I deserve to live with my family, in order to create passive income that funds my perfect life for life. I can't break through that ceiling, so I'm going to look for greener pastures. I'm going to go to a 100% company, because since I can't build a really big real estate business, I'm focused on how can I make an extra $5,000 this year. That's quitting. It's quitting. And as a team leader, one of the things that's fascinating is when somebody has a conversation with me about making an extra $5,000, when the conversation could be, should be, and could be, how can I build a $30 million business? How can I create $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month in passive income for the rest of my life? Those are exciting conversations.
Yeah, John, $5,000 doesn't change anyone's life.
Never.
No,
It seems so small.
because it is.
Because it is. I love you, Wendy. You're my new favorite.
Yeah.
Here's the next question. What would your life look like? What could your life look like 5 years from now if you never settled? Here's how I want you to write that question down. What would my life look like 5 years from now if I never settled? What could my life look like 5 years from now if I never settled? All I could do is all I could do. And at the end of the day, all I could do is enough. When I do, all I could do. What would your life look like 5 years from now if every single day you did all you could do and you never settled? What could it look like? What would it look like 5 years from now? Now, you're either going to choose to go on that journey and stay on that journey, or you're going to choose to look for a detour. And the greatest disappointment for anyone who is in my role is people settle. What if a life of mediocrity versus a life of mastery was as simple as settling versus persisting? What if a life of mediocrity versus a life of mastery, what came down to something as simple as settling leads to mediocrity, persisting without exception leads to mastery? What if it were that simple? What if all you had to do to guarantee that you're living the life that you deserve to live is never settle? What if it were that easy? All right, did I make you think? Did I make you think? That's my goal. I don't have the answers. I do. It's my job to help you think differently so that you can live the life that you deserve to live. Diane.
So I'm thinking about like the Facebook post you put out this weekend.
Okay.
Regarding an email that was sent out,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah.
People looking for shortcuts for the life of, finding the easy road
Yeah.
versus, taking the road to mastery.
Yeah.
So mastering our numbers, mastering our conversation, and mastering our scripts is not the life of like taking the easy way out.
100% I agree with you, right? Yeah, good for you. And good for everybody who sees that. And by the way, most people do, right? It's not a crisis. I don't know if I'm using the right word there, in agents who are leaving Keller Williams for these 100% companies, because it's a very small number, extremely small. One is too many. Not for me, for them. A shepherd taking care of his or her sheep will leave the herd and go find the one who is lost. And that's how I feel every time one person settles for mediocrity. And that's what my email response or my Facebook response in reference to that email was. It was to that one person who was tempted to look for the easy way. And my message was, don't do it. It's a false promise. It leads to less. It doesn't lead to more. It leads to less. Why would you do that?
I say 100% what?
100% of what? I have a hand up digital and then it went down. So whoever that was, please talk to me. Unless you jumped off the call. Maybe I made him mad. Okay.
John, my hand wasn't up, but I can talk.
Yeah, please do, Kim.
So I had a 20-year career as a CPA and finance person, and I was living in fear the whole time. I was unhappy, really most of that. And I'm grateful for it for a lot of reasons. One of which is that it led me here as an MCA. And by the way, I'm a low to medium match for that role on my KPA, even though it's my skill set and experience and education. But what I found was that I was constantly frustrated because I was always hitting that E to P ceiling. I could never break through it. And I didn't understand why, because I know I have the capacity to be successful. And I was afraid of leaving that field because I didn't think I'd be able to support my family. And when I finally left and moved into real estate sales, I've spent this last year living in faith and waking up every morning excited, and I'm happy, and my life is 100 times better, and I'm more successful financially and just overall in every way. And I'm only just starting. So just some words of encouragement for everyone that's afraid. We're all afraid every day, but we do it anyway, and we just focus on the faith instead.
Love it. Kim, that was awesome. So proud of you. Right, guys? Yeah. All right, it is 9:31, so we're going to shift to practicing and role-playing our scripts. Just a reminder that Tuesdays, that's tomorrow, through December. Vicki, your hand is up.
Sorry, my internet's in and out this morning, but I
I knew I saw a hand up. Okay, good.
Anyway, that was beautiful what Kim just said.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think that the most important thing is we have to remember our why we got involved in real estate, why we want this. And you've got to remember that passion. And then you've got to just set down and time block and put everything into, a schedule, and you've got to just chip away at it every day. And if your voice says, I don't, do it, just do it, because this is going to be the answer. You have to push yourself, and you're never going to settle. Just like you said, don't settle.
There you go. Yeah. Vicki, powerful. I'm so glad your internet signal came back because we needed to hear that message. Shirley Robinson.
Good morning, John. I just wanted to remind us when you had Sean Rawls speak to us, and one thing I wrote down that he said is that we need to know what we own. And being a part of this company, we need to know what that value is, because a simple 100% commission is not going to drive me when I know all the other benefits. not to mention when we have the KW Cares event this week as well.
Thank you for that, Shirley. Right? Thank you. You know, if I'm a real estate agent, I'm asking myself, does the company I work for provide me with an opportunity to close more sales? Does the company I'm working with provide me with an opportunity to make more money? If the answer to those questions is yes, the next question is, how many more sales can I close with great training, coaching, support, systems, models, tools? Where's my ceiling? How big can I make this? How big of a business can I build in order to live the life that I deserve to live? And in this company, you have an opportunity to earn 100% commission with a cap that is achieved with an average of 6 sales closed. And when you look at the average commission in South Florida, if you just took $8,000, I have to close 2 more sales with Keller Williams Realty Coral Springs in order to make up my cap. Just 2. That's it. 2 more than I would without training, coaching, support, and everything that Keller Williams provides for me. And then the next question would be, are we providing you with an opportunity to close at least 2 more sales? And the answer hopefully is yes. Don't answer. I know it's yes. And how big can that get? All right, I'm going to stop because I could keep going a long time on this conversation and we're already over time. So it's time to get to work. What's work? Work is 20 conversations, not 19, not 18, not 17 conversations, because when I have 17 conversations, or I have 3 because I didn't hit my standard of 5, or I have 7 because I didn't hit my standard of 10, whatever your standard is, hit it. If you settle for less, you didn't get the $1 million listing because you simply didn't have the conversation, and you're never going to know that you missed the opportunity because you just didn't have the conversation. Make care calls, not sale calls. Have care conversations, not sale conversations. Always lead with gratitude, bring value to every single relationship. Follow a forward model of communication, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Focus on getting an appointment, getting a referral, adding somebody to your database, and building a relationship. Find somebody today that is thinking of selling their home, whether it's in the next 30 days, 6 months from now, or a year from now, doesn't matter, because I'm looking for opportunity, period. Not necessarily opportunity right now. Find somebody today that is thinking of selling their home and meet with them face to face every single day. And then follow up forever, because you reject rejection, because no is not a word that lives in your vocabulary. No simply means not yet. Remember that people will never change their mind, but what they will do is make a new decision based on new information. And when you're following up forever, Maria, I'm coming to you. When you follow up forever, you're creating emotional proximity, which simply means that I'm going to work with the person who is closest to me when I get serious about selling my home, or when I get serious about buying a home. So when you follow up forever and that seller, Maria, makes a new decision based on new information, that decision will be to hire me. Okay, great job, everybody.